that the motion be agreed to, and I call the member for Franklin.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Australia Post recently announced that it would end the delivery of perishable goods without adequate consultation and abandoning our world-class producers in my home state of Tasmania, Deputy Speaker. The Morrison government has since intervened, I understand, and what was a service that was going to end on the 31st of March is now going to end on the 30th of June. Whilst this extension is appreciated by primary producers in Tasmania, there is still a lot of angst and a lot of concern in my home state from these primary producers about how they're going to get their fresh perishable goods out of our home state when this service by Australia Post finishes. Indeed, I got another letter just this week, after it being raised in the local media last week, from another Tasmanian company who is very concerned that Australia Post only contacted him just last week, Deputy Speaker, just last week to say that this service will be ending. And as they are saying to me, and I quote, "Perishables require express delivery from door to door. Our understanding is that whilst there are other freight companies, there is nobody of the size of Australia Post that can currently offer the express or guaranteed overnight service that the perishable goods require." And I want to quote some of the primary producers in Tasmania, and indeed the first one's from my electorate. People may have heard of Nick Haddo and the world-class Bruny Island Cheese Company. He said to the Mercury that it feels like the trapdoor has fallen out from underneath us, he said. He went on to say the choices of freight provider are very limited in Tasmania, so when the largest one, Australia Post, pulls out, it will leave these customers extremely exposed. We have Anne Bennett from Ashgrove Cheese in northwest Tasmania, and she said 60% of their online sales comprised of perishable goods, making the guaranteed 24-hour service delivery essential. So this is what is being said. I've got another producer or company in my electorate who said to me that in the last 12 months he's been sending in excess of 13,500 parcels via this service, and his service is like a gourmet basket, and it's supporting other small Tasmanian producers right across the island state. This is simply not good enough from the federal government, the Morrison government, and from Australia Post. They need to do much, much more in consulting with businesses about how this can be made to work, rather than saying it's all too hard and throwing up their hands. The primary producers in Tasmania who have been relying on this service, particularly during times of COVID last year, they're innovative. They moved to more online sales. One of the producers is telling me their sales are up nearly 300% online. This is the way that they were innovating to make their businesses survive and to keep jobs in Tasmania, particularly in the regions in Tasmania where a lot of these small producers are, Deputy Speaker. So I call on the government, the Minister responsible for Australia Post and the Minister for Agriculture to do a lot more and to have a lot more discussion with Australia Post to ensure that this essential service remains. In regional parts of this country, I'm sure there's a lot of other producers, who, not just from Tasmania, right around the country, who are relying on this extremely valuable service. To be able to say, oh, we're just going to end it, that's the end of it, when there is no alternative, Deputy Speaker. There is no other organisation that provides the service that is currently provided by Australia Post. Last time I checked, this business was owned by the Australian taxpayer. It is there to service the people of Australia. I don't know anybody in this country that wouldn't think it reasonable that Australia Post actually deliver these items as it has been doing up until this point. It just seems extraordinary that they can just go, we're not going to do it anymore, it's all too hard. When these people and the businesses and, importantly, the jobs in regional areas have been relying on being able to use this essential service. The mail, particularly in rural and regional areas, is an essential service. It should be delivered by Australia Post, and the government needs to talk to Australia Post and to tell Australia Post that this is not good enough, that it needs to find a way to continue to be able to offer this service, particularly for those primary producers with perishable goods in my home state of Tasmania, but right around the country, particularly in regional areas that are relying so heavily on these types of services right across the country. I say to the government and to the ministers and to Australia Post, get your act together, fix it. It's not good enough. We won't stand for this ending on the 30th of June.